Welcome back to Black Lotus Buds. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Michael, and thanks for joining us.
We're kicking off our 4th episode on the channel where we're talking all things trading cards. And today, we're going to just continue with what we were doing last time. Talking trading cards. That's what we do. Michael, there's this amazing card from Foundation, Magic the Gathering. The set.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. And forgive me, I'm a little under the weather today, so I'm going to try to cough off of the mic, but you might notice it in my voice. But there's this hilarious card that I think you'll truly, truly enjoy. And I'm going to tell you the name, and I think you'll be able to tell me what type of creature it is. The name is called 9 Lives Familiar. Any idea?
9 Lives Familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing, I mean, it's obviously a cat. But I'm guessing it's also, I don't know what they're called actually in Magic. I was going to say minion, but I don't know, a monster maybe is what it, I don't know what they're classified as.
Creature, yeah.
Creature.
This one you might want to look up. It's adorable. It looks like he's playing with like a empty skull of some sort, some rodent that he destroyed.
I had to pull myself back from browsing and just starting to buy cat Magic cards. I had to be like, no, Michael, you don't need all the cat.
This one's actually like a perfect card, in my opinion. This is what it says. This creature enters with 8 revival counters on it if you cast it. When this creature dies, if it had a revival counter on it, return to the battlefield with 1 fewer revival counters on it at the beginning of the next end step. So it pretty much does have 9 lives.
That's pretty awesome.
Dude, it's amazing. It's just a 1/1. It's not anything spectacular, but I mean, I think it's spectacular because this thing just does not want to die. Kind of similar to, gosh, we bring it up every time now, I feel like, Unstoppable Slasher, where if you kill him, he'll come back to the battlefield. Same situation with this one, only he is able to jump right on into the battle and block or attack right away. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Now, I went shopping because we did that segment about the gin.
Oh, yeah.
And I have your prize.
What? I thought my prize was those 15 points.
They are, but those are just the points. I mean, it's a game about points and prizes, you know, not points that are the prize,
okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But I can't tell you anything about it, but all I can tell you, I mean, it's a card. I'll tell you that much. And I didn't know, you know what? I'm just going to save it and say it surprised me when I found it, and I think you'll really like it. It's kind of out there. But I'm really happy that's like it's on the table here. Eventually, I'm going to elaborate as that game goes on, like as I develop it, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I assume, unless, I mean, you just completely displease the genie, like you're going to get it one day, and it makes me really happy.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm excited. I've been excited ever since I didn't like die out there in the desert with the djinn. I feel like, you know, there's more room to impress the djinn.
you got a second lease. All you want in life now with your second lease is to impress him.
It's been one of my life missions at this point. I didn't know that I had it in me, but
you know, life is full of surprises, man. So you inspired me also. I might have mentioned it. I ordered card holders, like these kind of faux leather with magnet top boxes. They got like feltish or cloth interior for the cards to sit on in some like kind of clunky, not very great dividers, but I mean, they're doing the job. And did I tell you about those at all?
To showcase your cards?
No, to store them.
Store them. Okay, yeah. I think we touched on this recently.
So, I mean, like, I swear that I bought ones with little windows that show you the first card, but apparently I didn't. I kind of think what happened was they had the wrong image, and I ordered it, and then they corrected the image. But whatever it is, I decided I was going to glue on. So it sets, like, it has 4 columns, and I tested it on one. It seems to be doing the job. So I did what I do for my like really precious cards. I put a penny sleeve on a card. I put it in a dragon shield sleeve, and then I Loctite glued it to the front. So when you look at it, you see 4 cards, and they're all different types, and it represents what type is in that card. And eventually, I actually ordered more for Magic to do that with Magic, for the colors and stuff. And then I ordered 2 that were actually have the window to see if I don't know if I'm like I'm not like officially OCD, but I do have like the tendency to I want everything to be uniform or the same or squared. It's kind of weird. And so I bought the same ones even though they didn't have the window for Magic. But then I was like, what if now I'm just being stubborn and I would just love them? So I ordered 2 of those just to see. And I figured I would use them for right now for just the bulk of, like I have 1 box of Dragon Ball Z opened. I'm just going to put a whole box in a column. And that way I can interchange it. And if I really like it that much, I'll start buying them instead for the future. But I'm pretty happy about it. I was taking your advice because I'm all... I'm being mopey. I guess I have to acknowledge that. But it's not, like, out of a place of negativity. It's just, I just strive for so much, I think. And I'm kind of bougie. Like, I live very humble. But deep down, I just want to be bourgeois, okay? Like, I want some caviar on a cracker served on a silver platter, okay? And that's how I feel about my cards. So I decided to take baby steps. And I'm really pleased to, like... I don't know, I was upset about getting the wrong item, but now that I've started actually, putting them together, and even giving myself kind of like a craft to do it, I enjoy that. I don't know, man, I just really love, I'm like a kid, man. I enjoy Pokemon cards and arts and crafts.
Oh, hell yeah. They'd go hand in hand. Like you were talking about the last time with the artwork of these cards. I mean, that's how you got so heavily involved in appreciating Pokemon. Maybe more.
They do, man. Yeah. I mean, maybe when I'm 80, I'll be collecting art pieces, and we'll be doing the same thing, but about artists. Be like, you see the brush strokes on this one?
I don't know, dude. You can't, dude. If you pull up 9 Lives Familiar, you're gonna fall in love with this devilish looking cat. I'm telling you right now.
Hold on, I can actually do it.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
For those
I hate
who
it.
are
No,
listening,
I'm just kidding.
Take a look at it.
I'm just kidding. I haven't pulled it.
I hate it. Yeah.
Oh, there's several.
Yeah, look.
You said it has a skull on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is freaking adorable, dude. This looks just like Rocky.
Here we go. It says, her master gathered the bones to resurrect her, only to find her purring on the altar.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I can't figure out if that happened to my cat. Like, if I would be hesitant or just be like, yeah, that's right. Because Rocky... I gotta be real, man. He's kind of like a daddy's boy, man. He's kind of like a big baby, because I got him like a little electric cat toy, and this dude, he's scared of it. It's 2 nights in a row. It like rolls around on its own, but he's like won't really play with it. And so I don't know if he has this like demonic energy or not, but maybe it's not a reflection of the cat's like energy or personality. Maybe it's literally just a cat that has 9 lives, I'd be happy to be reincarnated, I guess.
You got to set up a camera and see if Rocky does that same thing with the toy when you're not around.
They would,
or maybe he just goes crazy with it.
He'll get used to it. He did a little better. He charged at it a single time today, and then he was like acted disinterested. So I think once he knows it's not gonna hurt him, and it's familiar, he'll then decide how he wants to play with it. Dude, I thought you were saying set up a camera when your cat dies to see if he comes back. I'm like, Kevin.
Oh my gosh, no.
I was still looking at the card.
Goodness. Yeah. It's cool. I like it. All these cat cards now, That one stood out, though, because why not? I mean, you got to have fun with a card that just keeps coming back. A creature that just does not want to die.
Well, I did enjoy when I played the arena. There was a red deck where I think they're the most basic decks possible. But it was like bringing back goblins. Actually, there was two of them. There was one like it would bring back goblins when they died. It would just resummon. And then I had another one that was like a black deck maybe that was like a skeleton that just would not ever die.
Zombies or skeletons with decayed or something like that. Zombies with decayed.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, those are. Look, like every deck is great. It's just some people will find like strategies not as exciting. For me, I hate having a bunch of terrible creatures on the battlefield. You know, I like to have a couple beautiful, majestic lions. Something that really puts the like intimidation on the other opponent to act now. But that being said, there's also plenty of decks that I've played that like work much better by just having a bunch of little creatures to just nip away at your opponent. And they might be able to block one, but if you've got 5 or 10 or 160, you know, you're going to be dealing some damage to them. So how much time have you put into Arena now? No, we just talked about it, just kind of got into it.
I just did. I mean, I just barely did it. What I reported last time, where I played. I mean, I played every color challenge. It was like 3 games maybe against a computer, and I think it was a game against an opponent, but it could have just been a computer that was named to look like an opponent to make you feel like you were kind of in it. I'm not really 100% sure on that, but it was fun until I got, like I said, I got to double color, or not double color, to double color decks, and I was so excited, dude, because I binged it. I played for hours, and I needed it too. Like, I was kind of stressed in life, and it helped me decompress a little, and I'm playing it and loving it, and like the color decks were so easy to pick up. Like, I'm like, I don't understand these goblins. And then it would spawn one, and I had Bombardment, and I'm like, okay, I've kind of seen this card, so I put it out. And then I had a lot of goblins, and it just started annihilating the opponent. And I was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. Like, this is obvious. But when I got to those double-colored decks, I was so confused. I couldn't activate certain cards. And it was referencing things I didn't understand. So it's like, once you investigate, or when you get a detective, and I'm like, so is a detective a name of a card? Is it a type of a card? Is it specific to this day? Is it like a single thing? Or is it a general term for like, you know, like if I get a card and it's called Sherlock Holmes, is that inferred to be a detective? Like, I just couldn't figure it out, and I got wrecked. And so it was the first deck I played where I wasn't able to intuitively use its I guess gimmick. And it was miserable because it was so confusing, and it was like I was probably a little burnt out, admittedly, because I played so many hours, but it was just a bummer at the time. I'm ready to go back in. I think, like you said, I would definitely have you sitting beside me and coaching, and that would make it a lot easier. But in general, I loved it, but my last kind of interaction was terrible. I was just like, the heck with this. But and it didn't. I don't know. Maybe it was because with the other ones, I was also playing opponents, like the computers. I got to see them use it all too. But I mean, overall, I loved it. I just didn't. I wasn't able to breach the double colored decks, and to be honest, if I'm going back on there, I wouldn't even do it again. Like, I would play the double colored, but I wouldn't click on that detective one if I could figure out which one it is, because, like, oh my god, dude, it was a nightmare.
Sometimes these mechanics have like an additional step in the middle of them. Like, you would need to like sacrifice an artifact as you're doing something, and that can add a little bit of complexity to it. So it was probably something that with these detectives, like you were saying, like, all right, Sherlock Holmes, you know, you would think that is a detective, but at the end of the day. No, it has to say detective on the card. At least you got through the monocolor stuff. I mean, again, the game isn't all on like multicolor. You could always just start with like a monocolor strategy and then go from there. And I'm sure like these tutorials are probably trying to teach you a bunch of stuff that at the end of the day you might like never use that strategy. So I wouldn't be too discouraged if like detectives just didn't make sense. I would just say, all right, well, that's probably one thing you can just say, I'll put that at the back of the list of a strategy.
Yeah. We'll we'll get to that much later. Like, just get that out of here for now.
Yeah, they should have like a tutorial with artifacts and incorporate everything artifact, because there's artifact creatures, just like there are enchantment creatures, and like so that would mean that like an enchantment creature is both a creature and an enchantment, just like an artifact.
I don't know, it was also like spawning tokens. Like it was just tokens were just popping out of thin air because of my cards.
Oh, like you were investigating or something, or all of a sudden you have
I guess.
Yeah. There's a token that shows up. It's like an artifact. You can spend 2 colorless mana to sacrifice it and draw a card, and it's just part of that deck idea, I guess.
But I mean, I did have a lot of fun. Like, it ended on such a sour note, but I mean, I played like 20 games. And I had a blast up until that very last one. And I don't understand a lot of basics. Still, I think. And I don't know where I missed it, but like sometimes the cards, like how they attack or defend, I'm not understanding, like, because the game will do it for you. And I'm like, I don't know how they manage to do that. Like, it's hitting multiple things at once. It just goes kind of fast sometimes. Mm. But, I mean, it wasn't something that I felt was too confusing. It was just, at the time, I didn't have the answer. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna just play.
Click here and see what happens.
Yeah, and they're easy. So it's like, I was kind of going to win anyway. So it wasn't that high stakes.
Well,
did you keep playing Pocket?
I have continued to play micro, like at a very small pace.
Are you actually battling?
I think I'm still battling the computer, man. I have not gotten through all of the tutorial steps yet. I still haven't even gotten through like these other cards that I can now purchase in the shop. Like, I looked at them like a card that was like, look at your opponent's like hand or something. Like, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. And to me in Pokemon, it's like, I don't know how like favorable those cards are, the ones that are just like, look. Because in most cases, like everything you need to see is on the battlefield, right? Like the ones that are on the deck, the Pokemon that are lined up, ready to jump on, don't players usually fill those slots, somewhat quickly? I mean, help me out and understand that, because I was lost. Like I wanted to fill up all, I think 3 of those spaces immediately. Okay, I've got my main Pokemon. Now I'm going to fill up the other 3 like right away. I like left one open, but then that rule is like, if you have no Pokemon, if yours dies and you have no other Pokemon to use, then you lose right away. So I was worried about just having one ready to go. But I'm only playing against the computer, so I mean, it's probably on like the ultra easy mode.
Oh, wait, it wasn't letting you put one down?
It was.
Is what you're saying?
I was just like, I'm under the impression that I just need to have all those spots filled. I have to have everything filled up, and when I get a card in my hand, I'm ready to evolve any of those Pokemon that are already on the battlefield.
So really, like I'll grain of salt, because you're further than I am in this one. But I did do the very basic where it's showing you this is an attack and this is an energy, it's all the same as the regular Pokemon game. Mm-hmm. But I mean, essentially when you're playing regular Pokemon, you're just trying to make sure if all your Pokemon faint, you lose. So you don't want everybody to possibly get knocked out. And then I mean, I guess you want to be prepared to add energies, because you can only, in the regular game, you can only add one per turn.
Yes. That's how it is through it.
So you're kind of picking. So if you had like, and also in regular Pokemon, you can, there's more spaces to put Pokemon. Like in that one, it looked like there were just 3. But there are more in regular Pokemon. Maybe 5, I think, in your main one. So 6 altogether. Maybe it reflects like gym trainers because they carry 6 Pokemon max, like in the game. I'm not 100% sure, but you can throw them all down. I think at this stage it doesn't really matter. But for me, I mean, I would sometimes be holding them maybe to keep a strategy from my opponent, you know. And I'm thinking more of probably like lower level, you know, Pokemon play. Because I think at the upper level, you know, you see a couple cards and a couple trainers, and they probably, you know, they're like, oh, it's this kind of deck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if it's me and you playing, you know, you might have an ability on a Pokemon that you're about to throw out. You don't want me to know I have, or it's not useful yet. And you wouldn't want to fill all the slots and then pull a Pokemon with an ability that you could use when it's not active, and now you have like 3 Caterpie out for no reason. Oh. So I mean, there would be times where you wouldn't just throw them down, but I think at this stage of the game, like, and with the cards that I've seen we're playing with, you know, it had like the base set Pikachu, that I think we're okay just throwing them down. I don't think it matters.
I also think it's partly because of the Magic like background that I have. Like, I'm so oriented with Magic that it makes it a little bit challenging to like comprehend.
Do you do that in Magic? You just like throw shit down?
No, but let me add, like, you're ready to throw down, but you're always sizing up your opponent, and like their mana untapped is always like a way of knowing that they might have an instant that they're holding on to and ready to play at any moment that could like counter your spell, or just as soon as you play a creature, right away they'll kill it. So all the mana that you use to cast your creature during your turn, and then right at the end of your turn, they have a couple extra mana that they didn't tap, and now they just use it, play an instant, destroy your creature, maybe lose some life, and then right away, now it's their turn. They get all their mana untapped, and they've got an advantage right away just in one turn by destroying what you did in your turn. So I guess it might just require like learning more about Pokemon. But I mean, it's fun. I mean, I've had a blast learning and seeing like all these Pokemon that I've, you know, seen the names for years. It's cool just to...
It's so funny, like, because in real life, you gravitate towards like competitive, and I collect a lot. I have nothing. I want to be in competitive too. I just haven't gotten there. But it's funny when we have this brand new game. I'm more of the Pokemon person, but you're way further in competitive play. Like I've been collecting and opening card packs, and I put them in their little, like, you know, there's like card holders, and I started a binder. It's like, have you done any of those things?
Oh, I just got the binder unlocked like earlier this morning, I think. So
that's funny. Yeah. I unlocked the binder before I even clicked competitive. Like, I never even clicked into it before.
Oh man. I might be behind you. I don't know. We'll have to wait until,
no, I think,
like, give it a couple more.
I think you're probably ahead. I think my level is 6.
I think I've got like 150 cards now, though.
I don't even, you know, it's funny. I don't even know what I have really.
Every time I see the EX on a card, I get ultra excited. I'm like, all right, this has to be spectacular. Whenever the life of the creature is like over 100, I'm always like, yep, I'm winning. I'm the best.
I've been trying to pull like the rarest card. I don't think this is a thing in Pokemon. Uh, because I think like 3 gold stars is usually the top rarity. But in the TCG, I was able to like click in and it's showing you rarities. And there was one that was just a golden crown. And I'm guessing that is the rare. I've never even
Wow.
pulled a 3 gold star. But I guess it's out there.
I have
It's
terrible
waiting
luck.
for us.
Whatever that like weird thing is where they're like, all right, pick somebody's pack that they opened, and the chances of you getting the great card are 1 in 5. Good luck. I am so bad at that. I just pick the worst. They have it all like I guess what the cards just flipped upside down or something. So however you would describe it, I always like click on. I choose different cards every time, and it just seems like no matter what, I get the worst draw. Like, okay, I get like the common card, the boring creature.
Bro,
that's not gonna help me.
I completely, the first one I did, I absolutely nailed it. Got the card right away. I was like, cool, man, that's sick. Loved it. And then ever since, I've not gotten a single one. And it was like such a good feeling. And then I was like, oh, snap. I'm going to have to, this is a 1 in 5 thing. This feels terrible. Felt great when I just got it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to learn more about it and then have more feedback. Right now, I'm just too much of a novice, too much of a beginner to really share my experience. But I think it'll come.
The only reason I've been able to play so much Pokemon is actually just because I do it at work when I get bored. And I can't really do that with Magic. For some reason, the Magic game is blocked. Like, I have to get on the guest Wi-Fi to play Pokemon, and the guest Wi-Fi blocks. Like, they don't even want our patients playing Magic.
Jeez.
The jerks. Right?
It could probably cause heart palpitations.
It's too exciting for the patients.
Yeah. I mean, shoot.
We're losing another one. They pulled out a mythic.
Oh, the goblins.
It's a slasher. It's a slasher.
He's coming back.
I actually can't imagine patients freaking out about that.
Yeah, the insane combo with oh my gosh, how is it slipping my mind right now?
I do feel kind of stupid having bought all these like card storage things, and it's like I really don't have that many Magic cards. I'm gonna have like a column of a color, and it's gonna be like 2 cards deep. Like, it feels silly.
No. What is the most exciting pull of a pack that you've had recently with your Pokemon? Because I know you pull a lot of Pokemon packs.
Oh, man. I mean, it would honestly, because I haven't pulled Pokemon in a good while. I haven't pulled it this week. It would be on the TCG Pocket, man. It was, I got a Charizard. I think it was a 2-star. It's my best. I only have 1 2-star, and it was a Charizard. And you can't do better than that. Wow. If your rarest type is a Charizard, you're winning. So, it did feel good, I'm still up in the air about that, because I don't like a game where I really like it, but then they ask me to pay more money to keep playing. But I gotta say, at work, when I'm bored, I have been able to just open it up and entertain myself. So, it's, I think it's better with friends. My coworkers playing it, you're playing it, and we're talking about it. So it makes it, being a more casual game, it makes it okay. It's not something I'm upset about.
But in real life, because you're the collector, I want to know, and you're like, I haven't popped open a pack in the last week. But aside from the last week, when was the last time you opened up a Pokemon pack?
Shoot. It would have been for the channel, but I can't remember what card I pulled. The last card I bought was like a One Piece card named. You ever watch One Piece?
One Piece. I don't think so. No.
No. It's like a pirate anime.
Cool.
It's got like 1,000 episodes, so you know, it's I haven't gone that deep in it, but it's got the depth. Anyway, I bought it. It's like one of the main characters, and she's wearing like a golden crown surrounded by treasure. I actually think it might be from one of the earlier episodes, like kind of a screenshot. And I really enjoyed it, like the look of it. So I bought it, and it's gonna commemorate when I open my One Piece collection. I mean, you mentioned that full art Bulbasaur. I was really happy about that I pulled for the channel too.
Yeah.
The last banger was a Charizard in the old 151, and it had a bend in it right out the pack, and I sold it for like $100. Something that might interest you. That, I mean, I don't have anything more to talk about, any depth with it, but I just think it's interesting. There's a YouTuber, and he's called Alpha Investments. He's gigantic. He's a huge YouTuber, and in viewership, not physical size. He's a monstrous 8-foot beast. No, but he's a big channel, and he made a thumbnail. I didn't click on it, but it said crypto bull run or something is pumping trading cards. And it's like, I could not fathom. I don't know. I can't fathom how that's related. Like, does that mean that crypto guys are also card nerds? Is that like a hard thing, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't know what to make of it.
Is that what he was saying?
That was a thumbnail. It could be clickbait. I mean,
yeah.
On YouTube, it often is.
Of course. Yeah, read into that a little bit more.
What's your of Magic? What's the most valuable Magic card you pulled recently?
The one recently I pulled is called, I think it's just called Solitude. And I can confirm that is exactly what it is called. Yeah, it's like right now, lightly played is $10. It's not worth much at all. But it's a neat card because as flash, so a flash ability on a card means it can be played at the same time an instant can be played. So it's really cool because it's a creature. So like during combat, when the opponent declares their attackers and now you get to declare your blockers, this card, you can just fly on into the battlefield with flash. And what it reads is, when Solitude enters the battlefield, exile up to one other target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. This creature also has lifelink, so if it were to block or attack, it would gain life.
Yes, I learned about that lifelink the hard way.
Oh yeah, and it's got Evoke also, which is like a extra ability where you would need to spend whatever its evoke cost is, and in this case it's exile a white card from your hand. So you can't exile a land like a plains from your hand, but you would like any card that has a plains in its like top right corner. And so this one's cool because like in the heart of combat, it can just surprise an opponent. You can remove one of their creatures that might be like a crazy creature dealing you a lot of damage. And then
now, is that valuable strictly in the sense of competitive, or is it also high dollar?
I believe when I first looked at it, it was like a $50 card, but what I just pulled up on TCG is showing a $10 lightly played. So, it's not a terrible card. But that was like one of the more you know, not so valuable, but valuable cards that I pulled from a pack.
So I realized I'm at my computer to record this podcast, and I realized right next to me I have my collection that, you know, so I just opened it up. I think the card on top is what I last pulled for Pokemon. It's probably I think it's scheduled for like January to release, but it is a Skarmory. I think that was Gen 2. So you probably have some familiarity with this thing.
Okay.
It was like that Steel Bird Pokemon, but it's a full art card, and it's funny because I I kept it as like it's not a really valuable card. You know, if it's under 40, I'll keep it, but I keep it in a purple sleeve, and that's like the marker that it was like it was not valuable, but I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, I just looked at it. I mean, it's just this bird sitting on top of this roof and with a blue sky behind it. I think it's a car now that I'm looking at it. It's like a van. And I just saw it and was like, it looks so cool because you can see the reflection of the clouds in the wing. Because it's like he's a polished steel bird.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so I looked up the value to like add it to know what my collection value was. And it's like, I think it was like a $16 card. And it's way outside of the value of other cards of that rarity because other people did the same thing. They looked at it and were just like, that's cool, and then they wouldn't sell it. And it's hilarious how that happens. I really like it. It's like it makes it valuable because it's like we all see it and know it is. And it's like, how does that work?
Yeah. There's like
but
some
for you, I'm going to read the like attack. This is something I've literally never done this on this card, I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
please
110 HP.
Okay.
It has an attack for a steel and a colorless energy for 50 damage. And then it says, during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. That's pretty crazy, actually.
Whoa. So
I guess it's because he's steel. Like, you know, can't hurt him.
yeah,
Or at least it hurts less.
he's got hardened armor, hardened wings. So there's a lot of that in Pokemon, where like during your opponent's turn, or during the next combat, or something along those lines.
Yeah, probably the next attack, or it probably says opponent's next turn every time.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of that ingrained in Magic, but it's also cool to see that there's that involved in Pokemon. Because, I mean, just being so new to Pokemon with the competitive part of it, it's like I'm just excited to see how the game is similar but different from Magic.
It's going to get me more into it because I read there was like flare text. I already put that puppy away, but it had said like back in the day people used to use their wings as swords. I guess because they're made of steel. Pokemon's got some wild lore, dude. Like, one of my coworkers at my second job was talking about, like, some really, really dark Pokemon origins and stuff. And it's just like, dude, Japan's got some wild stuff hidden in there. I feel like I might have talked about this last podcast, but did I talk about the Pokemon that are items? Because I always used to dislike them, and now I have a new appreciation for them because they're based off of like some Japanese concept that like if an item is around long enough it develops a soul. And then my coworker was telling me he had another interpretation of it, and it takes on energy somehow. I can't remember. I wish I could. I don't have his number. I would even text him and ask. But it's funny how understanding the culture in which something was made, it like... I mean, I just always thought it was stupid. I'm like, dude, an ice cream cone or whatever. But now you just think of this ice cream cone. Kid tastes it, doesn't like it, throws it down. It's sitting there melting, and it gets like... it lands in a cave and it freezes over and on like the icy peaks. I don't know why the kid's eating ice cream on icy peaks, but he was. And it's like it develops a soul and reacts from that like event. It's just like, okay, all right. Makes it better. Like I just at least have an origin.
It might taste better too.
I mean, are you allowed to eat it? Like, is that a thing? Does it? Dude, I feel like that's pokey abuse. Like,
well,
you go into the vet, you're like, yeah, I don't know what happened, and there's just like bite marks out of.
Can you?
I swear, I have no idea. There's like ice cream all over your face.
Yeah.
The Pokemon, it can't speak, but it's like its eyes are saying, "Help me."
You know, there's a really neat infinite loop right now in Magic. Starscape Cleric and Bloodthirsty Conquer. And these two cards they're both creatures, and it's just so funny how like perfect these are. This is what Bloodthirsty is. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Okay? Starscape Cleric is this. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. So basically,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's like all you need is to gain life, and it will trigger those to be an endless. That'll just drain the. Once it starts, it doesn't stop. So, and I've done this in ranked now. I haven't gotten both of them on the battlefield yet, but I've lost by it a couple times. And
that was a theme on one of the colored decks, and I don't know how it was implemented. But it was basically every time I gained life, it like hurt my opponent. And I loved it. And I had a few that were like every time you gain life, your creature gained attack. I also enjoyed that.
Wait, every time you gain life, you're a creature.
Yeah, like one was I think every time you gain life, he gains 1 attack and defense. And the other one, it was like every time you summon a monster that can fly, you gain like 1 attack and 1 defense, and it was just like they were fun mechanics.
Yeah, a lot of the like put a +1/+1 counter on something. That's probably what it is. Like whenever this happens, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Those are great because like. That 1/1 counter stays on that creature until it dies. They don't lose it after combat. They don't lose it after your turn, unless like the opponent has something which is pretty like rare. So those are the best. I mean not like the best, but I love those whenever there's like a adding counters ability to a creature. Also, just the concept of whenever. Like look up that ability on Arena. When you go into the deck builder and you can just search for anything, just search the word whenever. And then
it's like whenever that whatever it describes happens. Like whenever a monster is placed.
Whenever a creature dies. Or this one, just this phrase, whenever a creature enters the battlefield. Or like whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control. Like that is a pretty common whenever ability that has a lot that works with it. And but those can be like so heavy on like you need creatures because a lot of the time those are just like a lot of creatures that do those abilities. And then all it takes is like your opponent to have like that 1 Sunfall card or something that just removes all the creatures on the battlefield and can just screw up everything. So there's like these fine like blends of strategies where you're not like too heavy into one that can get destroyed by somebody just having 1 card in their deck. And it's like, I find that it's always like they just need 1 of the cards to remove all your creatures, and it screws up your entire deck. You can't rely on like, you know, it just takes the 1 card. They don't need to have 4 of them in their deck.
I was really bummed out with the instant that just destroys a monster, because I had some pretty sweet monsters throughout, and it was really, really sad to just build this thing up and just see it demolished. Oh, but it must feel so good when you do it.
It feels better when you do it on their turn. This is the funniest thing, because in real life, this is so much fun. In real life, you would be like, okay, turn, or like pass, meaning like, all right, it's now the other opponent's turn. In the game, you literally just let it go on and up into, yeah, next, I end my turn. So it's always funny because in real life, you would say, before you end your turn, I'm going to destroy your creature. All right, is that the rest of, you have anything else you're going to do during your turn? No? Okay, great. That's the end of your turn. So it's just so funny because in the game, you have to go through the prompts. But in real life, you have to be like, actually, it's not the end of your turn. Before you end your turn, I'm going to destroy your creature. Now it's the end of your turn. That brings me the most joy. When you just cutthroat. I think there even is a card called Cutthroat. Yeah. Cutthroat, I think.
Dude, so there was sorry, you just reminded me of this. I don't know how. My mind is kind of wonky, but there was I know this from shopping online, and there's a sorcery. It's a like alternate art, and I don't even know. It's like a skeleton guy in a fiery background, kind of cloaky. That's about the best I can give you, because when I saw it, I wasn't even paying attention, right? I was appreciating the art, and I was like, that's cool, and I moved on. Well, apparently, that originated as a Magic card, and they must have like run out of copyright, or maybe the artist owns like full like ability to do what they want with it, and they just sold it to Sorcery too. But it is straight up, it is just the Sorcery card. I mean, it's just the Magic card. And it blew my mind, because I was like, dang. And I think part of it, the reason they would do something like that, is because they used artists from Magic the Gathering. So I think it was kind of like an ode to Magic. It's a super secret alternate art card like that. It's only in one of like every 40 cases you could get one, and this is only one of like 20 of them. So it's like, you'll never pull it, but it exists. And I just thought it was neat, because I was like, I don't know, I would never respect Magic like that, through my love for something else, had you not gotten me into Magic, because I'm on there and I saw it, and I was like, wait a second, this is a sorcery card, but this is actually Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. Wow.
It's wild.
Yeah, and then when you think about how many cards there are, like, oh my gosh, 20 plus thousand. I don't think of like the alternate art, foil, non-foil. Like, I don't factor that into how many cards there are. I know that increases it to like a crazy number. Like in Magic, I think it's like 48,000. I think they don't even know. Somebody tried to compile it in the last couple of years, and I looked at this. Like, people were kind of not arguing, but just trying to be like, I'm not exactly sure if these numbers are accurate, but they're probably accurate enough to at least use as a base idea. But I think the general idea is like there's currently just over 22 or 21,000 Magic cards that are unique.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Let's think about it. Let's just bring down 2 cards, okay? We're going to go back to dun 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 dun, this or that.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
All right. This is Niv Mizzet. I'm probably butchering the name, but oh well. Niv Mizzet, Visionary. It's a legendary creature. It's a dragon wizard, mythic. Okay, 6 mana, 4 colorless, 1 island, 1 mountain, for those who are listening. It has flying, and it's a 5/5 creature, so it's a 5/5 flying creature. And this is what it reads. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. So, if you have something that deals 1 damage to your opponent at the beginning of your upkeep or something, then you would draw 1 card. If you have something that deals 5 damage to them, you'd draw 5 cards. Sounds pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That, in this context, is Rise of the Dark Realms. So the other one was a creature. This is a sorcery card, okay? This is 9 mana. 7 colorless, 2 skull. And this is what it reads. It's a mythic, and this is what it reads. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. This or that, Michael. Which is better in competitive play?
Oh my god. What's the cost of this?
This was 6 mana. That is 9 mana.
I'm gonna go with that. I feel like you have to build up. Like, I feel like the first one you could use in a faster paced deck, but I just feel like that is when you pull it deep in a game, you've won.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to agree and disagree.
Okay.
Again, there's no right or wrong answer here, but I would say they're both like game-winning, like cards. Like, if you have a deck that's just nothing but like dealing your opponent damage with enchantments and artifacts that you have on the battlefield, that every turn or any time you draw a card, it deals the other opponent some damage or something, that this creature, the Niv Mizzet Visionary, I think is going to be better in general because it's lower mana, so you can play it quicker than that other sorcery. And it's a creature, so you can start dealing damage during combat. And you can just draw a tremendous amount of cards. Like, you could draw, let's say you have an ability that deals like 5 damage to the opponent, and then 2 damage to the opponent. You could literally draw 7 cards in one turn. That's absurd. And then even if that creature dies, you're not going to get rid of all those cards. They're in your hand. Now you get to play with them. You can't play them for free, but you've got them in your hand. And you can play them in any order, the way that you're going to want to win the game. That other card is like guaranteed win, but also the opponent could have some cards that are like exile all cards in all graveyards before you get to play that 9 mana spell. And 9 mana is absurdly expensive in the game of Magic. So I would say that card is truly remarkable, but you would have to get that card pretty much in your yard and then pull it out of your yard for cheaper than 9 mana for it to win you the game, and hope that your opponent isn't going to just be exiling cards out of your yard throughout the game before you get to play that card. So it's a tricky one. It would probably be a great card for a sideboard. So that would be my 2 cents on it.
It's interesting how it feels like, depending on the level of play, it's like that it changes. You know what I mean? Because like the level of your opponent might change how you want to choose your deck. Even, I guess that's common sense, but I guess I'm thinking of it for the first time in those kind of terms.
Yeah, and if you're like playing a ranked match on Arena, it's different because like they're going to pair you with somebody who's pretty much your same skill level, and you'll be pretty even. And they even do more than this. I mean, I'm telling you, from the amount of time I played on this game, they're going to pair you in some cases with somebody else who has a deck idea that's mirrored to yours. They want to like see, okay, let's put 2 people who almost have the exact same deck up against each other. See who wins. Who has the better deck at the end of the day. Those extra, you have 3 different cards in your entire deck than they do. Who's going to win? Who has the better deck?
Interesting.
Yeah. But I would say the Jin would be proud of your answer solely because you understood that would be the game-winning move. If that card hits the battlefield, put all creature cards from the
You have a
graveyard.
Jin here too? I've been talking to a Jin this whole time?
No, I've only been keeping him with me from the desert from last podcast.
you've been like enchanted with the spirit. I would have been being more careful. Jinner, that's a powerful creature.
I broke that. I broke that. Whatever it was, the glass that I had.
You did. It was a surprising move.
But the cool thing about the Rise of the Dark Realms card is put all creatures from all graveyards. So now think of it like this: you're playing, let's just say, Commander, or you're playing with in a setting where there's 4 people, where you've got your team member across from you, and on either side of you are the opponents. If everybody has creatures in their graveyard and you play that card, you're pulling everybody's cards out of their own yards and onto the battlefield under your control. So that would be the moment where it would be beyond like a game winning, unless again, like there's a Sunfall that shows up and every creature disappears off the battlefield. But that would be a really wild experience to see, having that card come out when there's like not just 2 people playing against each other.
I would love to do, man. Maybe I need to find some Magic friends, but I would love to do like random drafts where you just have a basic deck or a starter deck, and you open a few boxes, and it's like whatever you get, you get. Is that what people do when they do draft? Like,
yeah,
how do
that is draft. You literally start with 3 packs.
Wait, and nothing but the 3 packs?
Yeah. Now you're gonna have like lands that you're gonna be able to throw into it when you're done pulling all your cards. Like they're gonna let you bring lands so you can have, or they might have lands like at whatever event you're at. But it will literally just be nobody has any cards. They have 3 packs in front of them, and then you open up the first pack. You look through all the cards. You've got like a minute, and then you pull out whatever card. And I think this goes way back to the episode 1, where during the Magic World Championship 30, one of these guys like has the opportunity to pull a rare, and he just pulled a common, Unable to Scream. It was a 1 blue mana card that just is like, it can just enchant a creature and turn whatever creature into a 0/2 creature with no abilities. All the abilities that it has are gone. So it can nerf like their best creature. So that's an amazing card to have. He ended up not even using blue. He ended up going black and red. But I found that striking because it showed how experienced he was, not just giving in and just keeping that rare, knowing that it's a little bit, more uncommon. He may not pull another one of those during this draft round, and he might need to rely on that in his strategy. The guy knew what he wanted and knew what he could do with the cards that are in this set. So that showed a lot. But if it were me, I'd be probably keeping that rare in that first pack before anything. And I would perhaps use that rare as like, let's just say it's like a black-green, so Skull and Forest card. I would then think to start building like a black and green deck with the draft cards. But it's tricky, You never really know until that 3rd pack is opened, and then you've got one more chance at like a really nice card before everything else are just uncommons and commons for the most part.
Can you do draft on Arena?
Yeah. You have to save up. Yeah. You have to. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is to get enough gold, spend 10,000 gold on a premier draft of the current set. So in this case, you'd want to just do the ones that are foundation, and then any cards that you pull from those packs, those get entered into your library, so you'll be able to keep them when you're done with the draft round. But then you go through pulling 3 packs with other people. It's all on a timer, and you have to make quick decisions. And then you basically want to like have 2 colors. You never want to just be one color, because like people might pull all that color before you like the round is over, and now you're stuck with like terrible cards with other colors that you don't know how to incorporate into your deck idea. So it's really good with draft to have at least up to like 2 colors, and sometimes you'll splash a 3rd color. They did this at the World Championship, and it's pretty common to like have like maybe like a couple, two or 3 cards of that 3rd color. And then because of that, like you're only going to have like 2 or 3 of that land color of whatever that is. So you could have like a black and red with a splash of blue. Something like that. Arena has it all. And it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it for sure. I also like that it's on my PC and my phone.
Yeah, I think you'll have a peak in excitement once you probably get to the point where you're actually spending gold on a quick draft. You're in that moment.
Yo, did you Yeah, go ahead first.
Yeah, there's something called quick draft, and I would absolutely recommend doing this in the beginning. It's only 5,000 gold, so you could pretty much do 2 of them for the price of 1 premier draft. And quick draft is ironically not quick. There's no timer. So you're just, it's like an AI, I think they call it. It's like, pull cards with the AI. And basically whatever cards, like color cards you start pulling throughout the packs, it pretty much kind of leaves them for you to pull so that you can really build like a pretty strong deck idea with whatever idea you're using.
I'm going to probably try to hit back I'm definitely not doing that detective deck because I'm scarred, but I'm going to probably try some of the other decks and see if I like them or not. But I'll try that quick draft. Excuse me, that quick draft too. What I was going to ask, and I wanted to let you go, especially because I'm kind of changing topic a little bit, but it's something that's kind of relevant. It's current event. And I just want to know, did you watch that trailer I sent you for Path of Exile 2?
Was it? Okay, yeah. So we've been talking about Path of Exile 2 off air, and we're just going to bring it in. It looks wild. It looks so close to Diablo that Michael and I both were, how would I say, obsessed with over the years.
Yeah.
Especially with Diablo.
I know we're like the trading card guys, but this is also the way Kevin and I set this podcast up is we used to just talk on the phone and randomly talk about, our interests and stuff. And we just basically talked about cards every time. But this is like, I gotta talk to you about this on this call. It's so fresh,
yeah. So I saw the one that you sent me, the first one that you sent me. You sent me another one today that I haven't looked at yet.
So they released it today, and it's the opening cinematic for the game.
Oh boy!
And
I'm glad I did.
I will say it's not. It's super good. I'm ready. Rocky down. Rocky, go on. Sorry. It's not. It's super good. I'm hype. Like they got me already. It was just entertaining. It was gripping. It was dark. It raised questions. I mean, they did a lot right in the little intro trailer. And I will also say, because Diablo 2, yeah, my favorite, man. It is sad to see that we are it's not Diablo. And there's just something about the theme of it's in the simplicity. Devil bad, you good, go. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything you're slaying, is demonic. There's no questions. Like, you know what I mean? You're just clicking and slaying these demons and hellions. And it's like, it's not that, so it's not Diablo. But, dude, it was killer. And I'm excited about it. I've gotten to this weird age and attitude where, even things like Dragon Ball, which I'm into. I'm opening Dragon Ball Super cards, and I've watched Dragon Ball in clips and music for my entire life. But I'm not really into Dragon Ball Daima, which is their new series out. And I just I've learned that that's okay. And I think one of the most enjoyable things that have come from that attitude of okay, this one's not for me, is that I end up finding other stuff that I get really into. And dude, I think Path of Exile 2 is gonna be it. Just like watching it, I was literally, there were parts of it, and I was like, dude, this would be Kevin. This would be Kevin right here. Like, he's gonna envision himself casting this immediately.
The gameplay looks beautiful.
It does. It does look beautiful.
And how like detailed these moves are, where it's not just like a fireball that just disappears. It's like electricity like goes through the ground and rips out, like, you know, it just seemed like there was a ton of stuff happening in that first video that you sent me. So I can't wait to actually see this cinematic trailer now to get a full grasp of what they're putting together. I mean, because
yeah, it is funny because it transports you to a whole, because the gameplay is obviously very different from the cinema, like the cinematic, I mean, and but it was nice. It was nice, man.
Oh gosh,
I'm so happy because you're talking about the different movesets, and they said like they want to make every boss has its own mechanics. There's like, I think they said like 600 unique mobs and stuff, like, and he's like, and that's just the beginning. Like, he said it smug, like we can't even comprehend what they have in store for us. And I'm just so excited for like a game that's releasing a full game, and the more is like just incomprehensible to me. Like, instead of it being like they're releasing more, and really more is what should have been in the game to begin with, you know, or it's like the Pokemon Pocket where it's more, but like you want it, you gotta, you know, pay for the upgraded timer thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just, dude, I'm so hype, man. You gotta watch it later. I mean, it doesn't have to be tonight, but like at some point, you gotta I want your feedback. I want to know.
Well, I'm gonna have to make sure it's like full screen. I got the speakers turned up and experience in all of its glory now. Now that I know what it is.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna rewatch it at some point just to.
Yeah, because with Diablo 2, Lord of Expansion, when we were heavily invested in that, and then, you know, back in the day, you'd pop in the CD in your computer, and then you'd have to pull out CD, put in the other CD that was the like cinematic stuff, watch that, and then it would direct you, okay, take out this CD, put in the other CD.
I forgot about that.
Remember? Yeah. So like, so that it would be able to showcase like all of it on the full screen. I'm sure it was a lot of data for like a CD of its time. And then you'd get right back into the game. But that was a cool break of the game to see what this whole cinematic experience was. And gosh, man, when Tyrael and his blade, I mean, and then now, Bale.
I will say, I've had a lot of criticism of the Diablo franchise. Not much of a fan of Diablo 4 at all, and I was a little more of a fan of 3, but not in comparison to 2. However, cinematics, I feel like they've always killed. Diablo 4 had good cinematics.
What was like your biggest
job with that.
What's your criticism with Diablo 4? Like, what's the one or two things that were notable that were just, oh gosh, was it that many things?
Yeah, I mean, if we're saying in comparison to 2, and it's hard because I try now to not mess with it because I know it's not my cup of tea, and there's a large audience who enjoys it. But I mean, when I played it at launch, and I had played, you know, the betas and stuff, and I used to be in the forums, but the items didn't matter. You could just kind of cycle through your items as you leveled up because there was level scaling. If I had to pick one thing, and it's the reason that I was unhappy throughout the most, because there's a lot of complaints you can make about various different things, but I think if they had nailed this one thing, it would have been different. And I'll start with my experience in the beta. There was an event where you unlocked this like cosmetic by killing a world boss, something that wasn't in any other Diablo. And they announced it. It was only for a weekend. And I was like, oh, this is it. They were like, they launch it, you have to level up, and you have to team up with randos, and just, you have to destroy this beast, this world-class boss that you need a whole team of people to defeat. And they capped your character at level 20 because they were trying not to reveal, the whole game and all the levels. But essentially what that gave you was an experience where you could play through the game killing monsters, and once you got to 20, you could polish your character with items, better items. And you were getting stronger with these items, ultimately to the point where I was able to kill that world boss on the hardest difficulty with a group of really good players, and then like a few like little scallywags who they just died every second, but they were there for the party too. And they were. I mean, once that thing was defeated, man, everybody was a champion. Like we all loved each other. Yeah. Like it was. I have a screenshot. Like it was beautiful. But the thing is, in the real game, because of the leveling and the level scaling, you never got the power fantasy. And I realized pretty soon, because I played through twice on hardcore, and I died to Lilith once to the I guess this is mild spoiler here if you're invested in Diablo 4 and you don't want the last boss spoiled. Skip ahead like 2 minutes here. But the ground, it breaks out from under you, and it's the only thing in the game that instant kills you. And it's like a map feature. And I was outside of it, but it killed me anyway. I guess a little bit of lag. And the whole trip up to that and playing it again, I realized none of the items really mattered. Because once you level 5 levels, the items that are dropping are far superior. So you never really found a good item that was worth keeping. No matter what its status was, whether it was magic or, it didn't matter. You're just basically replacing it. And then your character never got stronger. Because as you leveled, everything leveled.
Yeah.
And then so, on top of missing the most important feature of the power fantasy, like I never wanted to be a sorceress that was struggling to get by. I'm struggling to get by in real life. I want to be a kick-ass sorceress, and games are what's supposed to enable me that ability. And so Diablo 4 took that away, and then since I had played so much beta, and I played through the game, I binged it like I'm lunatic. Like, I played far too much, far too quickly, and I realized they reused assets, all the little world events were the same in different areas, so it wasn't unique in Act 1. Once you got to the new area, it was the same events just happening again, and so everything kind of became dry, and, Diablo 2 had a lot of time to cook, but Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 made the mistake of getting progressively worse with each release. They had less features than the one before it, and ultimately they made a game that appeals to a very casual player, and it appealed to very many of them, but a lot of those sales came from people like me, I had Diablo books, and I had old guides, and I've, bought the D2 Lord of Destruction 1,000 times before because I would, lose my CD key and a year later be like, you know what, I gotta take it, we gotta play again.
Yeah.
And I just, I miss it. I hope Path of Exile delivers the quality of game that Diablo 2 left me yearning for. I think they will. And if not, it'll be just like Dragon Ball Daima, where I watched 3 episodes. I was like, I see what there is to like, but it's not for me. And so, but I really think they're gonna, I don't know, man. There's some other RPGs that are like Grim Path or something. There's like some other good action RPGs, but they somehow failed to keep me for the whole thing. I think that's one of the old Diablo features that was best, is like, he's the big baddie at the end. You know what I mean? So maybe I didn't really give some of the other storylines, or maybe they were a little too complicated. I just, it's so simple. I know what time it is. I'm killing the devil. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah. Go all the way. Yeah.
I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how you even
throughout what now?
Throughout Diablo 3, you're like, yeah. Diablo 3 also just didn't make the cut.
Diablo 3 was a Star Wars prequels for me. I played it. I made all the characters. I binged it, but it didn't have the longevity that Diablo 2 did. but I really didn't like it until Diablo 4. Because that's how I felt about the prequels until the new Disney trilogy. And I'm like, dang, maybe the prequels weren't that bad. But you know what I think is cool about Magic is, and I know this is probably going to be controversial, but smack talking Diablo 4 that'll probably be the biggest comment section we ever get of people being like, you're wrong, like, but I like that Magic is doing all the different intellectual properties. Because how sweet would it be to, like, we're playing Path of Exile, and, like, we're a year deep, and then all of a sudden they're like, Path of Exile set. Yeah. It's like, dude, I'm buying a box. Like, 100%.
They very well could. I mean, especially if it takes off the way that they're expecting it to. The early release comes out December 6th. And I guess...
Path of Exile 2?
Yeah, it was going to be the beta, then now it's just early release. I guess they still haven't officially released, or the date when the game will be, like, I guess just released in general. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. It's early access, so I can't be that much behind. They're probably gonna use us. I mean, they're using us as guinea pigs to make sure everything works.
Yeah, I would think it runs like that for maybe a month or so, and then they'll open it up. And I've got a lot in December, but if I find any time at all, I might have to get in on that early access. That just sounds like fun.
I mean, if I play it and love it, you're going to feed off of it. Because you know what I'm going to say is genuine. And you also know I won't hold back. Like, I will bash anything. Like, I love it. I have a toxic trait. I enjoy that too. So it's like, I'll tell you the truth. It's either going to be, maybe it'll be middle of the road. I'll be like, you know what? It's not there yet. But they said they're going to change these 3 things, and then it will be. And then maybe it'll be worth waiting for,
Yeah, something tells me that they've given it so much time because I can't expect that that's going to be the case. So Path of Exile 1 was released, like, what, 2013 or something? Like, a while ago, right?
No idea. I mean, I played that too and enjoyed it, but it was so complicated for me. They made this more simple, but to be honest, I did see the skill tree and it was just also enormous and daunting. But the only reason I'm not scared of it is because the developers they addressed it and were like, I have so much faith in them because they just take everything so seriously and all their feedback. And I was listening to, it might have been the other trailer I sent you where they were like, it's really frustrating because a lot of this stuff we hadn't developed. So when we developed it, we would have to go back and play it with every conceivable character to make sure it worked with them all. And I'm just like, I love you guys. Because, games don't do that. They'll be like, you know what? This breaks like 7 characters. It's fine. Release it. We'll promise to patch it. By the time the game dies, they'll forget about it. And we already have the money. And it's like, I know they're not doing that. So it's just like, oh, man, I'm ready.
Yeah, it does seem like every interview that I was seeing about the game developers seem like they really care. And that is shared with, like, the audience. The people who are there at these events are right there with them, supporting them in every step.
Here's something we could bring it back to trading cards with, and that is, and this is how I found sorcery, but do you have any interest in general of just experiencing new random startup trading card games? I mean, things that'll likely not stay in well, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, that's how I looked at sorcery, and they look like they're healthy now, but they have 2 sets out really, and who knows? But I guess speculatively because I have a $2,000 card and I won't sell it, so I guess I think long term they'll stay. But there was one, I think it was called Flesh and Blood. It was a Kickstarter project, and then it died. And then someone else bought it, and it's coming back. And it's like, I think a lot of the Kickstarter stuff is never going to compete with Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic,
These core
Pokemon.
Yeah, TCGs.
Yeah. But I could be wrong too. You never know. But there's also there was one, maybe it was Flesh and Blood, but I don't think it was. It was basically adult Pokemon. And I mean, when I look at it, I don't understand particularly why you wouldn't just get Pokemon, because it's still, I mean, there's been new Pokemon every year. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't quite get that. But would you be interested in like looking at like a new trading card on Kickstarter and being like, you know what, let's try it?
Yeah.
Or is that just like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I love learning, right? And part of the excitement with Magic is like every time there's a new set release, there's a whole new, it just opens the door for all these new strategies and all this stuff they have to learn. You don't have to learn it, but it's a lot more fun when you do. So yeah, I think it would be cool to pick up a different trading card game that might be underdeveloped or just underappreciated, under the radar.
Dude, we maybe we should go to like a convention one year and just binge trading card games.
I think Vegas probably would be a good spot for that, but I'm sure there's other events throughout the year. I feel like large trading card events though are held in Vegas. I don't really know why I'm thinking that, other than just this most recent tournament with Magic out there. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know you were under the weather, but it's getting a bit late. I keep procrastinating my real life stuff. So do you have anything else, or do you think it would be okay to go into my segment of Sejum's Satisfaction?
Ooh, yeah, let's get into the Sejum's Satisfaction segment, the Triple S.
Excellent. I have fun stuff for you. At least I'm excited about it. I have cards in front of me for it. Rocky, I'm gonna have to kick you. He's on my arm, but you're gonna have to go, little bud.
What?
That's right. He understands. It's a love kick. He dishes it right back. Trust me. All right. So now it's time for our ending segment, Sejum's Satisfaction, a game with points and prizes. Kevin, as I mentioned before, your prize is real. It's not in my hands yet, but it is on the way through the mail. God bless the Postal Service. You have, Kevin, 15 points from before.
I'd like to use them.
And if you recall, there's a threshold I have not told you yet, but gauging by the Jin's expressions, you will be kind of alerted to your progress on how much your points really matter. But as we left off last time, you were in the desert, wandering through. You got overheated, fell. Vision went black, and you vaguely remembered an encounter with a genie. Today, you wake up in a small cot in a desert room. You look around you, and you see tapestries with intriguing colors, purples and greens. Some things normally royalty, but these are ragged and jagged. Definitely not a royal place. And you look to your left, you see a nice, pretty woman sitting at the table. She looks over at you, and she informs you she's dug you up out of the desert, found you passed out, and that you should drink some water. She brings you a cup of water and hands it to you. What do?
I ask her if she would like to have the first sip.
Okay. Well, she takes the water and she just throws it across the room, and she transforms into the Jin. And this is Sejum in front of you.
Oh boy.
And he gives a maniacal laugh, and then he looks at you. And he says, "It's time to play my game." And as you look, his smile disappears, and you get the gist that he's not very satisfied. And before you can realize anything else, the room is spinning, and he starts asking you questions. So, I have purchased another card. Of course, you know this genie. He knows me. So, it's a PSA card.
Oh, yeah.
What set is it from? These are 25 points. Is it A, Pokemon, B, Magic, C, Sorcery, or D, Dragon Ball Super?
Gosh. You know, I'm gonna go with, once again. Should I go with it again? No. I should switch it up. I'm gonna go with D, Dragon Ball Super.
The genie, he's not happy. He shakes his head. The room continues to spin. Lightning strikes again. You're not even in the realm of the desert anymore. You're just in this void of purple swirls, confused where the beautiful woman went. You know, or am I in the desert? You don't know. And he informs you that it's no. C, Sorcery.
All right, well, that was my second choice.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. He asks you a second question. Okay. What type of card is it? Is it A, a unique card, B, a promotional card, C, a sample card, or D, an elite card?
Whoa. Well, I have no idea what these are, so I am going to go B, which was promo?
Promotional card. Good choice. The genie laughs. The swirling slows a bit. The room lightens up. You can sense that he's pleased, a little bit satisfied. Yeah. And you gain 25 points. So it is a sorcery card. It is actually a box topper. So I was a little up in the air about this, but I chose it because it's called Sorcerer, and it's basically like the flagship, you know, character of the brand. You know, it was kind of in advertising. I have a little print that I've crudely cut out and glued into a frame, and I went with it, even though it's a promotional card. I just wanted to have it. I'm thinking about putting all these cards in like a frame, you know, the little cat I got from Magic and everything.
Oh, cool.
But it is a promotional card.
Nice.
So the genie asked the third question. What is the quantity of this card in a PSA 10 gem mint? And that's what it is. It's a PSA 10. And in the same choices, A, between 1 and 10. B, 11 through 50. C, 51 through 50. Or D, more than 500.
I'm going right into A, final answer.
A? Wow, the genie, he's thrilled.
Yes.
You've gotten 2 in a row for the first time here. And you now have 50 total points from this game alone. I'm actually surprised at this because, so a box topper, man, it's like, they throw it on the top of every single box. So, you know, Alpha, I don't know what the print run from Alpha. Alpha was the Kickstarter thing. But, I mean, it was $1 million worth of cards. So, I know it was a ton of boxes, and there's a ton of these. And then I was questioning, I'm like, is it only 9 because they got damaged while shipping in the top of the booster box? Or is it only 9 because no one cares to get the dumb box topper done? You know what I mean? It's like a promo card. And I have no idea. And there's also...
Oh, so you're saying there's 9.
Yeah, there's 9 of them.
9 of them. Okay. I was like, wait a second. I thought you said it was 10 gem.
Oh, yeah, it's between 1 and 10.
Got it.
But, so it's like, I just couldn't figure out if, why that was. But I was happy with it. I really expected it to be like 500 or something. But it could just be, again, it's a niche game. You know what I mean? It's already niche. And so maybe even though there's that opportunity, it's like a lot of people probably aren't obsessed with collecting like I am.
Is Sorcerer like an avatar?
It is.
Okay.
Which brings me to the final challenge of the genie.
Oh.
I'm going to do this in 2 ways. I want to make it more fair. This is going to be a very large amount of points. A matter of fact, I'm going to make it we'll make it 250 points. If you get it right, you get 250 points. If you get it wrong, the 50 points you earned will be cut in half and added to your total.
Good thing I'm sitting down.
I'm glad. Yeah, you definitely need to sit down for this. So I have the Sorcerer avatar in front of me, and I also have 3 others. I'm going to mix them up here. And then I'm going to allow you to choose a number. I'm going to take whatever number you have, and then I'm going to compare the Sorcery avatar description and the other card, and you're going to have to tell me which one is the Sorcerer and which one's the Imposter.
Okay.
So, 1 through 3.
2.
All right, 2. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm shuffling.
Shuffle those 2 cards.
Yeah. If you were listening well enough, you could know which is which, but all right. So, the description
this reminds me of
this
reminds me of the game, like when you're at the baseball game, and then they're like, all right, they're gonna throw on the screen like 3 baseball caps and then a baseball, and they put the baseball under one and then rotate them all around. And tell you which
what's that game called? They do it with like peanuts or like walnut shells or something.
Under the hat? I don't know, something like that. All right.
All right. So
serious. Pressure's on. I want to drink that water now. Damn it.
I'm interested to know if you're going to get this, and I'll tell you why later. But
okay.
So the description: start the game with 4 spells in hand. Tap to play or draw a sight. All right?
Wait. What was that last part? Tap to draw or...
to play or draw a sight.
Okay.
And then the other one says, tap to play or draw a sight. Tap to draw a spell. Which one of those is the Sorcerer?
I think the Sorcerer is the first one, because that would make, in my mind, the most sense. If he's your avatar, he's going to give you a bunch of abilities right away.
The one that says start the game with 4 spells in hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, the genie's pissed.
Oh.
All right? He's upset. He had been so pleased with 2 correct answers. But alas, you got this one incorrect. So that is the Spell Slinger. So I'm going to... I'll talk about the card real quick. That's actually one that we talked about once. It was like I had to order this from Britain or something. But it was, you picked, I think, the hardest one. I tried to pick 3 avatars that would be kind of sorcerousy, but I figured that was way too hard. This was like some promo or event card from like some British competition or something for sorcery. But the regular avatar, it was the first one, and it's the most basic and simple. So it was literally, you just get the option to play or draw a sight or draw a spell. And the other guy, he gives you, his name is Spell Slinger, the one that you start the game with 4 spells in hand.
Got it.
And he's like this wizard holding a scroll. The sorcerer is like a cloaked figure also, but he's casting something. The other choices that you didn't pick in your little random game were the Enchantress, and they all tap to play or draw a sight, so they all have that. But the Enchantress's special ability is whenever you cast a spell, you may animate the target aura until your next turn. It's an aura minion with a power equal to its cost. And I gotta be honest, I'm not even exactly sure how that works, man. But I guess she's like turning auras into minions, and that's why she's enchanting. On the card, she's like this weird green ivy plant thing with these mutated animals flying around her, which is all wild. And then the Archimagio, it's weird. The Archimagio is the 4th one, and he is a old white bearded wizard in a purple and garb with a strange, weird metal dragon pointed helmet thing, holding a staff, and his is banish 3 magic spells in your cemetery. Cast a copy of one of them. So it removes 3 of them from play, and then you get to use one. Or it removes 2, I guess, and then you get to use one again.
That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it's an interesting card. I've never played with. I don't think I've played with any of these in an actual game. I just played with the ones from the beta decks. But
the one from Britain seems a little OP to have 4 spells right away.
Yeah, but see, I think with sorcery, I was going over this in my head too. I think with sorcery, you start with 3 and 3, so really you just start with 1 extra spell. But I couldn't really remember. I think it's 3 and 3. I got confused once because I thought you maybe got to choose, like, can you draw just 6 spells altogether? And so that would make this card mean you could draw all lands and then still start with 4 spells. And I'm not really sure, to be honest. I've only played this game, one time in real life and a couple times on a simulator. Tabletop simulator. But it's really just, I think, 1 extra spell. It's deceiving. You picked, I feel like, probably the hardest one.
Yeah, but they seem kind of close, but hey, I like a tough challenge.
Yeah, man, we're enjoying it. Well, even upsetting the Djinn, you still leave by satisfying the Djinn by 25 more points. You earned 50. You got the challenge incorrect. I'm going to ask you something. Do you think the challenge should be optional for you? Like, you get to choose. I was going to originally allow you to choose whether or not to take the challenge. And if you decline, we still do it, but it comes without prize or penalty.
I feel like the only way that would work is if I got all 3 correct. Then I get the choice.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Well, for today, your total comes to 40 points, 15 from the last one.
Oh, yeah.
And 40 now. And as the strange... As the whirling purple lightning-infested realm, it starts to fade along with the Djinn, and you see the beautiful woman in front of you, and you just hear her answer, "No, sweetheart, you're thirsty. Please drink this water." And we'll end it there. We'll end the segment.
I chug the water willingly at this point. In all its glory. From the chalice that she hands it to me in. And you've made me remember one thing that I had to bring up this podcast, so I'm glad this segment brought it back out, which was the ruling in Magic on blocking. And after some play in competitive arena, I can confirm now that the rule change that they had with the declaring blockers and the damage being resolved immediately, that does happen essentially in the moment where like an instant cannot be played. So you do have the ability to play an instant right before that damage resolves once you've declared your blockers. But as soon as that part of that phase is over, then the opponent, when they choose which damage goes to which creatures, there's nothing that can be done that can counter or impede in that moment. That can stop that from happening. So it does have an advantage, a slight advantage, for the attacking player. So I like it.
Interesting.
I think that
makes it more aggressive.
Ever so slightly. Yeah, it doesn't do a tremendous amount, but it does give that player like the ability to just destroy a creature right then and there, knowing that there's not anything that's going to be done to stop that from happening. So I'm a big fan. I don't really think it did too much to like help or hurt the gameplay. I think it's just probably just part of how they just had to just tweak some things to get it right, especially when it does get so competitive in a competition setting. But I'm all for it, and I can't wait to see more about it. More about just the game.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I'll probably get on some arena too.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's that time.
Indeed it is.
All
I
right.
enjoyed this podcast too.
Yeah. As always a pleasure, and I think that's gonna do it. So thanks all for listening, and like we say every time, catch you next time.